Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap. Oh gosh, it's so happy to see all you guys today, man. A big victory Tuesday, a championship Tuesday, a college football playoff bound Tuesday for the Texas Longhorns, and we have a ton to get to, man. Jam-packed show. We'll address the chat here in a second. Money B saying Alex is probably training the new pup. No, here's the thing. I will be training the new pup. So it's going to be it'll be a schedule like it was yesterday. We're going to get out of here just a little bit early today, possibly a little bit early tomorrow if he doesn't take to this electric fence. we're going to need to keep working on him with it. He's a tiny bit hard-headed. But so, yeah, today we're going to probably get out closer to 5, and the same could be true tomorrow, although I'm not completely sure about that. We'll keep you certainly keep you posted about that one. Man, a lot to get to today. Xavier Bryce and Jalen Catalon to the portal. We'll talk about that. We're going to do our portal exercise that we didn't get to yesterday, where we'll go through the scholarship board that Blake was nice enough to provide that's been updated. Look at the scholarship numbers. Look at where Texas could be looking at the portal. Some interesting names came up today. I'll tell you what. Watch this edge guy, Trey Moore from UTSA. Oh, buddy, we're gonna talk about that guy. A bunch of safety talk, right? A bunch of safety talk. We're gonna get to these guys. Xavier. So his name is spelled Xavier Filsame, but I did watch some DFW area. Or is it DFW or Houston? Where's Mansfield? Is that Houston, or is it both? Dallas.
That's DFW, Mansfield.
Okay. Yeah, so they call him Xavier Filsame. So I think it might be Xavier Filsame, even though it's spelled Filsame. And then of course Andrew Makuba, who is he from Reagan or LBJ? He's from one of these.
LBJ.
Yeah, so obviously looking at some stuff at safety. Sark reports of Sark in Las Vegas. What could that be all about? We have the defensive breakdown that we'll talk about, how Texas shut down Ollie Gordon, how they turned Alan Bowman into a pumpkin. Of course, for fantasy football, we're coming into our last week before the championship kind of tournament starts off if you're in traditional leagues. So we'll talk about any waivers we'll want to get to today. And it's Taco Tuesday on Prize Picks. So we'll see if there's any tacos. Blake, are the Rangers playing today?
No, the Rangers won the World Series. I'm
sorry, not the Rangers. What is your hockey team called? Stars.
No, the Stars.
Yeah. Are they playing?
They played last night, so no, not playing today.
Okay, cool. Let's see what's going on with the chat here. We got Jay Ward in the chat. Text guy too in the chat. Oh, look at him. He got his Football with Friends t-shirt. It is indeed fun as hell. So good. It's so good to see that. We do have merch available. Blake can drop that link. Oh, here it is. Yeah, you can click the QR code, as the kids say, or I guess take a photo of the QR code, as the kids say. Get yourself a nice hat. There's a camo one. Check this out. See? Nice.
Ooh, man, the camo hat is so nice.
It's put together very, very, very well.
Camo
An original snapback.
Nice. Very
well put together hat. So now you can, of course, get those there. Text God, thanks so much, man. We appreciate the support. Blake Winfrey, so good to see you. Sandman23, great to see you, my friend. Kenny R, he's going to ask his wife for a t-shirt for Christmas. That sounds great, Kenny R. Rodolfo, so great to see you. Let's see. We have Gringo Horn 65. It's great to see you, my friend. Ricardo V. Great to see you. Oscar Elizondo. He's going for the corner. It is indeed fun as hell. Dude, why do I almost accidentally block he's going for the corner every time? Let's see. Tyler Finley. Great to see you, my friend. Golly, dude, just a bunch of you guys in chat today. JD, so good to see you. Longest Horn. Man. All of my friends here today. It's been a busy day for me, getting all the NFL stuff done and all the rest. Hold on, what do we got here? A photo you're putting up?
We got a pup from Jay Ward.
Jay Ward with the pup.
The new boss of the house. Finally got my wife a small dog, 1-year-old Cocker Spaniel named Finn.
Huh. Well, Jay Ward, you can't send a better photo that shows his face?
Yeah.
Come
No,
on,
we
Jay.
do need a better.
Look at him Look at him standing on top of that, and look at that deer he's got there wearing some kind of that deer is that old boy back there's got some kind of old cowboy hat on him, something like that. He uses that thing as a hat rack. Jay Ward just way too classy for the rest of us. For the rest of us,
Look how he's just standing on the other pup here.
Oh, I love it, man. That's great. C. Shearman, awesome to see you, man. That's a grouse hunting dog. Yeah, man. Dude, if you guys have these photos, man, email them to me, alex@rosterwatch.com. I love seeing the photos from our community and getting to hear from you guys about this stuff. Okay, so I said yesterday, maybe doing the transfer portal thing today would be something that would actually be good because it would give me time to actually go through it and prepare.
Well,
And
I'm glad we waited because more guys have gone into the portal over the last 24 hours too.
yeah, so let's just talk about Xavier Bryce. So what does Texas lose here? Just from
Hold on, Alex. If we're going to talk about the portal, we have an intro for that.
Fight! Finish him!
Oh man, I hope Sark finishes some of these guys. Do you know what my wish list is right now, Blake?
Who you got?
My wish list right now. I'm not sure if it starts with Trey Moore or if it starts with Deion Burks, but it's going to start with one of those guys. Mm-hmm. Trey Moore out of UTSA, and of course, Jason Ketch. Those guys will be all over this. Who really knows, right? I think personally that they might take a. I listened to a little bit of what Ketch's show earlier today when I was finishing some of my busy work. And I can't listen to like podcasts or content or stuff like that when I'm doing like creative stuff, but if I'm doing spreadsheet work, I almost kind of need it.
Right.
But what Ketch said, he had a good point earlier, and you guys probably heard him. He was astute to bring up the fact that, whenever they took that offensive line class in 2022, the next year, the 2023 class, it's like you could pat those guys on the hand and say, look at how developmental all of these guys are. It's sort of a different breed of lineman that we're taking here. We know that we're going to get you guys developed, get you in. But, take a look at Connor Stroh. Take a look at Andre Kojo. This is like a 16-year-old kid. Like, he's going to take some – like, this is going to be a slow bake, right? At least that's kind of what I think Ketch was alluding to with the offensive line and the way that they sort of not placate these guys, but the way that they kind of, Arch Manning comes in, the quarterback. What's the quarterback? Trey Owens. The quarterback after him is like the Trey Owens kind of that kind of player, right? And he mentioned with Colin Simmons coming in, do you really want to do anything like bring in a stud edge rusher whenever you have this dude coming in? And I thought to myself at that time, and look, I'm not going to disagree with Ketch. He obviously has a great finger on the pulse of the program. He's done this a lot longer than me as far as covering it. But we both covered Sark for the same amount of time, and we both know football. We both know ball. And to me, Blake, have you watched Trey Moore?
No, I haven't. I was looking at his stats game by game while House of I was going on because I just learned he was in the portal. But I remember watching him in a few games. But
some of these sacks happen on back-to-back plays. It's like, you to be honest, you don't even have to watch his highlights. You can just go watch the games. He gets to the quarterback, man, and he. But I don't know his size. He's not big. He's probably.
I remember, Alex. I sat down and watched the entire UTSA Texas State game early in the season. UTSA lost Frank Harris early in that game, but the Roadrunners defense and him in particular just dominated that whole game. And that's the reason they won.
Yeah, man. You can just see number 11 over there on the left side of the offense.
I think he's number 1.
Is he 1? Okay, whatever. 1, 11, whatever. But like I said,
he did change numbers. There though, so it could get confusing.
Well, it doesn't. Whenever you watch it, you don't even have to know what number he is. He's a different kind of animal than the rest of the guys out there, and he has just a great explosive burst, a great first step. He's exactly what Texas would need in that buck end. And dude, here's the thing about this that we've always talked about. At some point, I guess we just kind of have to come to terms with the fact that when we look at the buck end and how much the buck end actually plays, it sort of comes out a whole lot. It came out a whole lot this year because Anthony Hill at the beginning of the year was coming in as the third linebacker. They really wanted to get him involved. Then when he sort of took over as the starting will, and they wanted to keep, they wanted to pat the hand of David Benda and let him know he's still important. And they said, all right, well, when Maurice Blackwell goes in, another guy who they want to play, right? Whenever he goes in, you get three linebackers on the field, and it's always the buck end that comes off, right? Because whenever they have the three down linemen, they want to keep that strong side defensive end and that defensive tackle and that nose in there, right? And have that third outside linebacker. So there's Trey Moore. Yeah, so only 230, and he's not 6'3". He's not 6'3". He doesn't have the ideal. He doesn't have the ideal length that you would want out of a guy, with the long arms or anything like that. He doesn't. What he has is an explosive first step up field, just a dynamite speed to power conversion inside. He's very, very good with getting under these guys' pads. Very, very good with, like D-Hawk said, where he said, get your inside foot pointed at the quarterback. Well, what I always say is get your hip pointers pointed at the quarterback. But what D-Hawk was saying, the stuff that he gave Burke was just kind of get your inside foot pointed there, because your inside foot gets pointed there. Your hip pointers are going to initially they're going to just do that, right? And you just look at these games with these multiple sack games, right?
This is that UTSA game where he had 3 sacks that won by a touchdown without their starting quarterback.
I mean, God, how many sacks did he have on the season? 14. Golly, really, really, really good player, man. It's going to be something interesting to see. I mean, he's just right down the road. I can't imagine. Ketch said that with Colin Simmons coming in, you might not want to mess with it. I don't think that this affects Colin Simmons really all that much at all. Mm-hmm. They can mix and match these two guys, bring him in, have them. And look, I'm the biggest Colin Simmons fan that there is. Like I was the one saying Colin Simmons no matter what. It's the biggest priority. It's such a no-brainer, no matter what. I'm not even necessarily saying that I think Trey Moore would be better than Colin Simmons. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you get a chance to add a dude like this in the portal. This is not like adding a Ray Thornton or an Ovi Igwofu. This is a young player that's dripping with all kinds of legit potential. I know that the Texas staff is sharp. I know that it probably seems like doesn't it seem like an easy sell right now? It's like, hey, we're in the college football playoff. We could definitely use you.
Oh yeah, they can give him a nice NIL deal. He's from the area. He's from Smithson Valley, not too far away. Like, man, it makes perfect sense. Just from an outside looking in, like I think it would be great for Texas A&M.
Yeah, I don't like. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But man, quite a player. I think he still has. How many years of eligibility does he have left?
He redshirted freshman year and has played 2. So
he's the guy that Texas would hope to get out of here. Texas would hope that he'd be out of here if he's good. Like, dude, if he's out after 1 year, that means that was awesome that we got him. But you figure he'd be here for another 2 years. And for somebody like Colin Simmons, that should be totally fine. I mean, it should be totally fine. So, I don't necessarily think, and we're gonna go through the whole portal process here and talk about the spots on the actual team. Because clearly Jason and the guys calling around these portal dudes, they're gonna know more about what they're thinking than I am and stuff. But what I can tell you better than anybody else is sort of what these dudes on the team have done, what they. Where they stand, what a position group looks like, just based on from the historical factors that we chart here, and edge all of a sudden with Colin Simmons becomes less of a need, especially when you consider the fact that look, Barron Sorrell's. We thought before the season there's a chance that he could leave. His dad Barry Sorrell, we love him. Barry Sorrell even said, "Man, 10 sacks and he's gone." We said, "Well, I mean, if he improves, maybe he could have 10 sacks." And I saw Cockamamie PFF put out a tweet that Barron Sorrell liked the other day, saying that he was one of the the highest rated pass rusher of the Big 12 championship games or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. It was true, man. He got a bunch of He got a bunch of pressures in that game. It's been the same for him, dude. He's been quietly effective and that's one of the reasons that they sent Alan Bowman to the pumpkin patch, dude. He's terrible after pressure, man. Turn him into a pumpkin, just like we talked about right here on the show. Barron Sorrell had a lot to do with that, even if it didn't show up in the stat box.
Mm-hmm.
But
and looking at Trey Moore stats again. Last year, 18 tackles for loss, 8 sacks. This year, 17 and a half tackles for loss, 14 sacks, 45 tackles. Like just absolute stuff in 12 games. Like
I would tell anybody. You can just go you can just go watch highlights of it. Just go type in, go to YouTube. I mean, not now. Don't switch it off our show for sure. But you can open up another window and just turn down the volume and just type in Trey Moore UTSA and watch some of the highlights. You guys will see what I say, man. He's dynamite. And versus a lower level of competition, yeah. But the skills are easily translatable. Great flexion through the ankles. Great flexion through the hips. Not he just is the one thing that you'd like a little bit more. He's listed as 6'3". I don't think he's a legit 6'3". He certainly doesn't have the arms of a 6'3" guy. But he's an explosive package off the edge, and somebody like you could tell. I'm just very impressed with this player. You don't get edge rush talent like this in the portal, right? No. It's like I would definitely keep an eye on that one. I mean, I know Texas has to be interested. We'll probably have more reporting on that at Orange Bloods though once we get confirmation on it. But it's like to me it seems beyond obvious. The other one that seems beyond obvious that I have on my wish list would be Makuba, the safety, and we'll talk about. Oh, look at Blake. He already has it up, right? Already has it up. Obviously, just from the Austin area, some personal stuff going on where he would like to maybe get back this way. And the fact of the matter is, you do have at the safety spot, it's clear that that's going to become a big kind of, whether or not we think it's a big need or whether or not we think Michael Taft's pretty good and Derek Williams is pretty good and all the rest of this stuff, whether or not we think Jelani McDonald, and we'll talk about Jelani McDonald and if he can move from nickel to safety a little bit later. But we do know that Catalon's gone, Catalon, Xavier Bryce, both these guys are going to be gone. Catalon did really nothing outside of the very beginning of the season. I don't know if he just got hurt again, but by the end of the season, he was just so bad and so toast and so dusted that Blake Gideon sort of gave him a shot in the Texas Tech game what was the game before Texas Tech? Blake, was it Iowa State? Or was it Kansas? I get it mixed. I think it was Iowa State, then Texas Tech. Yeah. Yeah. It was the Iowa State game where he just, he just can't play. I'm not sure. He just can't play. So, safety obviously is going to be something big here. And Makuba is a guy who's shown that he can do it. Like, what was he, a freshman? Like freshman all ACC, something like this. Yep. I mean, very, very good. No, there was that tweet going around earlier, that Instagram post of what's his name, Juice Wells, saying putting him in the dirt or whatever. And it was funny that right. Somebody mentioned that these two guys could possibly be teammates, but apparently they kind of hate each other. Anyway, so yeah, him, and then we talked yesterday about Deion Burks. I'm in love with the Deion Burks, the wide receiver from Purdue. But if those are three kind of big needs. I think Xavier Worthy's gone. I think A.D. Mitchell's gone. I know Jordan Whittington's gone. Isaiah Nayer's probably sure to be gone, but Nayer's probably going to be. I don't understand, Blake. How are guys transfer portaling? Like, you got to really be just out. Like out. I hate this place to not want to go get a natty.
I think some of these guys are seeing all the names in the portal and going, "Oh, these spots are limited, and if you want your full range of options, I think you have to try and leave now." Now, if you're a certain level of player, it doesn't matter. But for these guys who are
Yeah.
not completely proven, I mean, yeah.
What's up to everybody in the chat, man? So good. Oh, we see Craig Simlinger checking in. So good to see you, Tucker Wakeland, Rhett Moore. Great to see you, my friend. All you guys. If everybody in here, man, if you could please go click to like the show, we would certainly appreciate it. Like the show, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, do all that stuff. But I say just like the show. Like we say, Ketchum takes away our money if we don't get to over 100 likes on each show. Yeah, I mean, you guys think it's a bit. He docks the pay. So make sure to please like the show. And it's just hitting the little thumbs up button, and it's totally free. All that stuff totally, like, this is all free. Subscribing is free, liking is free, it's turning on notifications. It's all free, and it helps us out immensely.
And shout out to Craig, who reached out to me asking for the Rogue Shop promo code, which I, of course, hooked him up with. So hope you enjoy the Rogue products for the family, I believe.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Rogue Shop, man. A great family gift, depending on your family. Do you know what? Like, you can buy gifts at Rogue Shop for any member of your family, because do you know what they have that my wife is all out of? I probably need to. I actually hope she's not listening. Is the salve, the salve?
Salve,
yeah, salve.
Salve.
It's like it's kind of like Xavier
pain
Phil,
relief, freaking amazing.
like Xavier Filsame. Is it Filsame?
Yeah.
Is it Filsame? Filsumi?
I think it's salve. But
Salve, whatever it is, man. It has CBD in it, dude. You put that stuff on. Like, I kind of twisted an ankle a few months back. I put some of that stuff on there, but dude. It definitely helps a bunch more than Icy Hot or BioFreeze. So yeah, for sure, man.
And they got treats for the dogs too. If you
doggy
treats, a little crazy, they got dog treats with CBD, calm them down a little bit.
Wow. Okay. So Craig Simlinger said he got $12 off. That's good. I hope it worked. Oh, Craig, trust me, like that's salve that works completely as advertised. It's really, really good. Let's see. Okay, all right. So we do know now. Do we just want to talk about what Xavier Bryce did this year? Just what he was.
Hold up.
So he played at he played at outside corner. He only showed up on defense versus BYU. He played 4 snaps, and then versus Texas Tech, he played 9 snaps. So, did he play versus? No, he didn't even get to play versus Rice. So Xavier Bryce was basically a complete non-contributor. I wonder if there's any. Did he even register any statistics here? Let's see, Bryce. So in the deep dig, he actually, I mean, for a guy that only played 13 snaps, he was actually, pretty dang effective. He was only targeted. He was only targeted once, and he did allow a completion on that one. But there was a play here that I have logged, that I've noted, that somebody else was targeted, and he got to jump in and get the pass breakup. So even though he was only targeted once, he allowed a completion and had a pass breakup. So I mean, it shows you that, you know, he did allow the completion, but he did find himself around the ball.
He's a young guy too, class of 22, right? So
yeah, I also have him for one tackle, 1 assisted tackle. He was a good prospect coming in during the 13 snaps he played this year. Look, this isn't one, this isn't one that stings, but it's also not one that's, addition by subtraction, unless there was any, and there's been, I've maybe heard a little bit of buzz that, maybe there was some stuff where he wasn't exactly too happy. And clearly that's the case, because like I said, why would a young guy like that, who would have, plenty of suitors? I mean, what were his offers coming out? So Bryce's offers coming out, Xavier Bryce, rivals. I remember he was either committed to Oklahoma or Oklahoma State at one point. Let's see. So coming out, his offers were, how do I get to his high school?
He was committed to some other schools. Was that right?
Yeah.
Here, I can read off his offers.
Xavier Filsame, just watching him on the news, that guy, I mean, if you just look at the way he stands up, like when he's standing up straight, and you just kind of look at his chest and his shoulders, his upper arms and stuff, all I kept thinking to myself is, golly, he's still, like, for the way he can come downhill and hit, and the the way that you could kind of see him, becoming a four. I mean, I think he could play strong or he could play free. I know at Texas they don't really do it like that. They play more boundary and field side as far as the safeties, but having a guy who has the versatility to do both, and also a dude that really, he has a lot of development that needs to happen in his shoulders, in his chest, in his upper arms. You can tell he still looks like a high schooler. I couldn't believe it. I said, man, usually these dudes, when you see him, you're like, oh my God, that guy already looks like he's like 35 years old. You see Colin Simmons getting interviewed after one of these Duncanville games. You're just like, geez, like that's a high schooler. Like, he's drinking different water than I was drinking whenever I was in high school. Is it so some of these guys are saying that they're losing audio. So let's look into that, Blake. We'll look into that.
We'll figure that out. I don't know what's going on.
Unless this is all some kind of big joke, which it could be, because you guys like to have fun. It is indeed fun as hell. Let's check it out. We'll reset the internet if we have to, and we'll get it figured next.
I'll find the guy who sent it. Here it is, right here. Angry Hammer Jason wanted to know any recruiting impact to this class. What about the next class?
Well, that's on my agenda. As soon as we're done with this video, I'll be working the phones today, Angry. But, I don't know that it'll have a huge impact on this class. I mean, obviously the committed guys are going to be excited, and, maybe it helps secure a guy like Jarrett Gibson and get him, kind of lock him back in. There really aren't a lot of remaining targets in this class. So I think if it's going to have an impact, I think it probably spills over more into that 2025 group than it does 2024. Does it help them maybe flip Xavier Filsaime, someone like that? I mean, listen, it can't hurt, obviously, but it's not like Texas has the room right now for some influx or a wave of recruits to start just jumping on board. But for 2025, yeah, listen, man, we've said it for years. If Texas is kind of a sleeping giant, once they start winning, this recruiting will take off like a rocket ship. I mean, they recruit well anyways, but when you got a college football playoff to sell, absolutely, it should impact. I'd say a little bit of impact, over the next couple of weeks, but moving forward for that 2025 class, I think it has a big impact.
Keep an eye on the portal. That may be maybe even more so than for 2024 anyway. It may impact. I get the sense that there's a lot of people that are calling Texas that aren't even in the portal yet. This could help them really get a bang-up class, knowing that Texas will be poised, even though they'll be rebuilding and they lose a lot from this team. If they bring Ewers back, I mean, they'll be a top 10 team going into the country next year, I think, with the presence of that alone. And Texas will have a loaded young roster. It may be unproven in some areas, but I think they'll get the benefit of the doubt, especially if they perform well coming into the playoff against Washington. I think things look good right now.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Okay, well, I mean, are we having fun? I mean, the Specs Bunny's having fun. So you guys left, you came back. Are we just? I guess the audio was just maybe it was on YouTube's end. I'm still getting.
We're good. I checked it on my phone and on my laptop, and we were good.
Okay.
It's just, guys, we have a weird software. It does weird things when it updates. It does that every few weeks.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. We got like they say, man. We got the hamsters back there working overtime, making sure that we're good. Ricardo V says the audio is fun as hell. Oh man, I got an email from Ricardo V yesterday about some kind of parlay he hit. I'm gonna need to pull that up.
Ooh, nice.
Pull that up. Was it a someone sent me something about a parlay, and somebody sent me something about a Prize Picks hit. I'm not sure which one of those was Ricardo. Of course, you can always email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Definitely want to hear from you there. We have also to ask you to like the show and subscribe to the channel. So yeah, we're going to ask to do that. Just please like the show. Like I said, Catch is going to fire us if we don't get 100 likes. And so if you like the show and you want me and Blake to be able to keep eating and feeding our families, we definitely need you to like the show. All right, Blake, do you want to go through the positions and just kind of do this? Talk about, so let's just go through them and say, what is the need in the portal as things stand right now? The need in the portal. Okay.
Let's do it.
Who Texas is going to be, how does Texas reload via the portal? Okay. And I've told you my wish list. My wish list is Andrew Makuba, the safety from Clemson, Deion Burks, the wide receiver from Purdue, and Trey Moore, the edge from UTSA. I think Texas would have a good shot with it, with all those guys. I mean, they all make perfect sense to me. But then again, I want Texas to reload. And Catch is saying that Texas should be a top. If Quinn Ewers comes back, Texas is going to be a top 10 team next year. I think that's underselling it. I think at this point, Texas would have to be a top 6. Like, wouldn't they have to at this point be a top 6 team?
We had the buy or sell question asked in a super chat. Was it from Cody? That was the top 3 teams to start next year were going to be SEC teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Texas is absolutely top 5.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that Nash, what's up, brother? Good to see you, my friend. Hell yeah, man. He's saying even without Quinn. If without Quinn, they might. I think that I don't know. Maybe
Alex, if Quinn is gone, the Arch train leaves the station, and Texas is number 1 to start next year, probably.
I like to see it, man. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it was Ricardo V. He said that he is 5-leg parlay of the CFB games. It looked like it was a pretty nice score for old Ricardo V. He is indeed rich as hell. All right. Did we even talk about we just kind of talked about Catalan. I don't know where Catalan's going to end up. What's this, like his 7th year? Is this his 6th year?
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, no. I think 5th.
Right, going into his 6th, right? Because wasn't he a grad transfer anyway this year?
Yeah,
I guess maybe he could be a
year. Yeah, these guys. Thankfully, this is the last year of guys with COVID years that can come back.
I get so mixed up with it. Nash says it's a strange departure, man. It really isn't, because at the end of the season, Gideon just said, "No, man, you're not playing."
Yeah,
it's like you're not playing. Like,
I think Catch said it so well earlier when he said it's not just the injury thing at this point. It's a capability thing. Like it's a skills thing.
The way that he played versus Iowa State was just like, you can't. It's like you can't put him back on the field. It's just, it would be it was Hacker texted me about this yesterday. He's like, losing Catalan? I'm like, dude, it would be a dereliction of duty to put that guy back on the football field after the way he played versus Iowa State. So let me make sure it was Iowa State. Let me make sure just real quick, because let me just look at the player participation, because it was basically the first game that he came back and saw any kind of decent snap count. Jalen Catalan. Yeah, it was ISU for sure. He played 6 snaps in that game and just got yanked. It was brutal. In 6 snaps, how many tackles did he miss?
He was a high school senior in 2018, so you were correct.
So 2019, 20, 21, 22, 20. Yeah, sixth year. I mean, he's going to be heading for, like, and look, I'm not here to bash on the dude. I mean, he played for Texas. He did his, I'm not here to bash on him, but I'm here to just tell you guys the truth. And his skills have been his skills have been greatly diminished, even through the course of this season, and certainly very substantially diminished over the course of his entire career that started out with with so many accolades. So two missed tackles in 6 snaps versus Iowa State. So it's just tough, man. It's tough. Do the portal guys get it? That's a good question, Montgomery Flores. I would guess no, but
I think probably not.
But maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's just like, geez. I think the video production team and all, like Bianco and everybody get one, but the guy that's on the team doesn't get one. But if you quit before the games are played, you weren't a national champion. They probably get a Big 12 championship ring.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I don't think that they will get a national championship ring. So we got the scholarship board here. Do you want us to go over this, Blake?
Sure. Yeah.
So,
We'll put up. I have updated this since I last sent it to you as well. So it should be those two names are off of it, and all the recruits are up to date.
so you took off Catalan.
Yep.
You
And
took
Bryce.
off Bryce. Okay.
We're sitting at 82, and we can zoom this in and go position by position if you want. But
Okay. So we're gonna.
scholarships.
Okay. So how does Texas reload in the portal? Because that's what we all want, is for Texas to reload, right? Not rebuild, reload. Reload 2024 SEC. Okay. And I know that we still have this game to talk about. Trust me, we're gonna talk about this game. We got. Do you know what the coolest thing is about this whole college football playoff thing, Blake? We got a whole month to just sit back, kick back, watch everybody else do their thing, talk about the team, talk about the matchup, talk about the other players, talk about the recruiting, talk about all this stuff. And then at the very end of this period, coming into January, coming into New Year's, we get to get pumped up, man, to watch to see these Horns play in hopefully a national championship run.
So great.
Quarterback. So let's do it like this. I was asked earlier in my column, my deep dig column, for the Big 12 championship game, my level of worry coming into next year for the defensive line, to rate it on 1 to 10. And I think 1 would be the least worried, 10 would be the most worried. So let's just do these like this. And it's not so much how worried I am, because I'm not here to be worried. I'm just here to analyze this stuff and tell you how much attention I think that fans and the staff should be focusing on these various positions. So let's just talk quarterback. I mean, I think that the transfer portal for this is just a 1. They're not going to look at a single transfer portal quarterback, right?
No, absolutely not. They're set.
I mean, or the transfer portal worry. You could spin it like this. You could say, well, it's like an 8, because they're probably worried that they're going to lose Malik Murphy.
Yeah, Malik Murphy.
So I don't. But let's just say let's say the level of attention that should be focused on the transfer portal for incoming players, right? Not the level of focus for retaining, possible outgoing players, right? That's what we're talking about. But clearly, Malik Murphy comes into the picture here with the transfer portal stuff, simply because Arch Manning is he's. I don't really even know how to explain it. Whenever people I'm in these group chats with a bunch of I'm in one with my fantasy football league. That's all my buddies from college, right? And they're all Texas fans. They're a little bit more casual. They're more casual than you guys who are in. They're not the hyper informed, right? And they asked me. They're saying well, what about these rumors about Arch Manning? Mike Farrell said that Arch Manning might go to the portal and stuff. And it's super super hard to explain to them this situation with Arch Manning and why it's different, right? It's just something that we, as the ones that follow the program so closely, just kind of know, right? It's an aggregate thing through the long time. And it's super hard to type into a text message to your buddies to say well, it all started out when he first came here, and the word came out that he said that he wanted to redshirt, right? He wanted to, and then you have things that happen along the way to where his dad has said that he's interested in, redshirting. He doesn't want to play at first, and he's not going to accept NIL money for anything other than charity until he is the guy and stuff. And we're prepared to know that could be a while. And then Eli Manning goes on. Was that Pat McAfee? What, Blake? What was it? Pat McAfee?
Probably.
Cody would know. And when he's just asked well, what about when's Arch going to play? What does he see about playing time? All this stuff. And the idea is, he said well, for me, I redshirted, then I sat behind a guy for 2 years or something like that, and that was really good for me, because by the time he said yada yada, they're a very calculating family. They didn't play any games in recruiting. They didn't. You know what I mean?
Guys, the Mannings are just built different.
Arch doesn't even tweet. You know what I'm? Or maybe he has a Twitter but doesn't tweet. They're very businesslike about the way they've gone about things. They know exactly how this thing's going to run out. They know he might need to with Malik Murphy. I'm not saying that his family's it's not comparing their families or stuff, but Arch comes from a cold, calculated football family that knows exactly what's going on, and this is something that was sort of planned for, right? So
There's
Arch,
absolutely no rush to play Arch at all, like zero.
they almost don't want him to get. They don't want him to get rushed. They don't. They don't want that for him. So, um, so with Malik, that's going to be something, you know. And then Major Alexander, very smart, very rich. Thank you so much for the chat. $1.99 there in the super chat. And again, if you guys have questions here during the show, please just ask them. If you're rich like Major Alexander, you can put in a super chat. If you're trying to save some cheese or whatever, man, just ask the questions and we'll try and get to them. Blake will make sure and get them up as we're going through all this. You don't worry about Arch, and he's right with Owens coming in. It calms all that. You don't want to lose Malik Murphy, but
more than the entire bigger picture, Alex. You don't worry about the quarterback position when you have Steve Sarkisian. You just don't. He's bringing in badasses just about every year. They got KJ Lacey coming in behind Trey Owens. Nothing to worry about in the quarterback position. If there was a desperate situation where they needed a guy in the portal, there's plenty available. I mean, and they're just not even in that situation. So
let's go to the running backs. We have Daniel Lavelle asking, how does Texas slow Washington's passing attack? Man, we'll get to a lot more of that a little bit later, but I think that you definitely need to, if it's going to be Ryan Watts who's gonna get matched up with Rome Odunze, you're going to have to give him, you know, fast safety help over the top because Watson's not going to be able to run with him. I would personally like to see a little bit more Malik Muhammad, who's just gotten better and better every single week and plays the same position that Watts plays. And man, and filling in for him, he sure has looked really good. Watts showed in the TCU game, that he can get run by. He can get in some guy's hip pocket, get in a trail technique, and just, you know, that wide receiver says, I'm getting even with you. I'm leaving you. And that's something that you worry about a little bit with Roma Dunze. But we'll certainly get into a whole lot more of the details of that a little bit later. KJ Lacey for sure gets brought up, and you're just like, the scholarship board doesn't go to 2025, but you got that guy in the pipe, man.
Don't worry about the quarterback.
You guys think I was excited? I've been getting excited talking about Trey Moore and Deion Burks, man. You see how excited I get talking about KJ Lacey, man. Like, woo! Good grief is right. Okay, let's talk about running back. So Texas loses Keelan Robinson, presumably. I presume that they're losing Jonathan Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
So we're left with C.J. Baxter, of course. Jaden Blue will return. Savion Red returns. Trey Wisner returns. Then they have Christian Clark and Jarrett Gibson, who Jarrett Gibson for a while there felt a little bit shaky. I'm not sure if he still does, but there was the Florida stuff, and now we have Travis Etienne's little brother. Didn't he enter the portal?
I think so. I think I saw that. Yeah, I can't confirm.
So that could be something there. It's like there's all kinds of stuff with Florida going on right now as it relates to Texas, just in a really ancillary, you know, like we mentioned earlier, the Xavier Filsaime stuff. I think that the Jarrett Gibson stuff, as far as possible flips and things like that, could be out there, at least as a narrative that we have to kind of talk about, especially with Etienne going into the transfer portal. But make sure and check me on that. I'm fairly sure I saw Trevor Etienne go.
He did. Cody confirmed.
Okay. All right. So we also have coming back. So I mentioned Trey Wisner, who to me is one of the ones that I'm excited to see in more of a bigger role. Certainly not something I would have thought I would have been saying like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Not at all. Been to camps. I've been to the camps. I've seen him at Texas practice now, right? I want to look and see. I think we've already looked this up before, Blake, but maybe he was only 195. Is that right? He's number 26. Let me just look him up. I think he's 26. Is he 26? Yeah, Quintravion Wisner.
Yeah, Quintravion. Don't doubt Quintravion, Alex.
Quintravion. I love it. Yeah. So they had him this year. He's on that roster as 185, but I think that they had him on the updated rosters at 195. He doesn't look 185 to me. 185, you're talking about a guy that looks as small at the college level as like Devon Achane was at A&M. He doesn't look quite that diminutive to me, although Achane, golly, man, he sure did play a lot bigger than he is, and he continues to. He just keeps getting hurt for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I got to go against him this week and catch him swindle of a league where I have the 4th most points. I'm on ever since Anwar called me out for saying, like, man, what's it like being a fantasy football analyst whenever your team is in the bottom of the basement? I'm like, dude, I'm going to be fine in that league. It's now in 4th place and stuff. And I could be out of the playoffs if I lose to Catch this week and Trashman wins because of the cockamamie. Why I just look?
My team went to hell in that league.
I joined the league knowing that this kind of stuff is going to happen. I've been in the league for however many years. I've been to the championship like 5-6 times, and I've never won the championship. But every year, I always, I'm always close. I'm always contending. And there's certain years where I just get swindled because they use these NFL tiebreaker rules in fantasy football to where the points scored, the most important thing in all of fantasy, the number of points that are on your actual team that you make the start-sit decisions about, those points count the least of everything. You start going down something, you start going down things like, I think you got to get to, like, it's the last thing before a coin flip. It's just it's the worst. Anyway, what was I even saying before this?
We're talking about the running backs.
How did I get onto the fantasy and catch his team?
I have no idea, Alex.
Devon Achane, who reminds me a little bit of Trey Wiseman. Okay.
Who sat on my bench and is the only reason I didn't score 200 points last week. But anyway, we'll move on.
Do you have Achane on your team in that league?
Not in that league, in my other league.
So you can see that Ketchup was in my head about this week that I'm already.
Oh, yeah. No, I can tell.
Okay.
Christian Clark, real quick, though, while we're talking running backs, before we move on to wide receivers, Christian Clark is awesome. If you've not watched Christian Clark's film, go watch it.
And that's why this is again like a stone one for me. Like, to go out in the transfer portal and get some dusty old running back. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no chance.
Like, no way, dude. Jaden Blue has looked. Jaden Blue and CJ Baxter have been dude. I mean, not to this. Look, this is one of these things like the cockamamie 3-3-5 deal. This is not correlation, right? This is the correlation versus causation discussion that we had about that. Like, what does the 3-3-5 versus SARC really mean? Mm-hmm. And what does the fact of Jaden Blue and Cedric Baxter being your lead runners really mean? Like, and I'm not saying that the team's been better without Jonathan Brooks. That's clearly not true, right? Jonathan Brooks was amazing. He was a better running back whenever he was. He was a better running back when he was healthy than CJ Baxter and or Jaden Blue have been when they've been healthy. With that being said, the 1-2 punch of those guys, Texas has played his best football with those two guys kind of leading the way. So, like, it's just something to kind of keep him, like, think about the last 2 games. It's been only 3. I mean, it's crazy to think it's only been 3 games without Jay Brooks,
yep.
Right? Or was it 3 games or 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5, right?
Let me just see. I want to make sure I get that right. Oh, do you know what else we didn't get right yesterday, Blake? I can't believe the brain fart I had. Somebody said it in the chat. We said the guy said, remember the Alamo? And we said, Texas lost in the Alamo. And we said it was the Battle of Gonzales that they won.
It was
the Battle of San Jacinto.
Yes.
The Battle of Gonzales was I always think about it because it's the battle flag, the come and take battle flag.
Cannon.
But the Battle of San Jacinto was where Texas Texas won its independence. So I wanted to make sure I'm right about that.
Big super chat. Hold on.
And then, a super chat. Thank you so much. Let me just get this one thing and make sure that I'm right about Jay Brooks. I'm sure somebody in the chat's already said, yes, Alex, you don't even
look. You went down versus TCU via Nash.
Okay. Just let me look and just see.
So 3.5.
So 3.5? Okay, fine. So, but Texas over its last 2 games is clearly playing its best football. Major Alexander, very rich. So rich. 1999, the inclusion of Jay Witt into the offense has opened everything up. If we don't beat ourselves, Texas wins the national championship. The team they play doesn't matter because if you can't run the ball, you can't win.
Major Alexander says he's not rich with a $50 super chat.
Oh, gosh. Major Alexander. Yeah, man. Oh, dude, look at this thing. So with the inclusion of Jay Witt in the offense has opened everything up. I think that well, so is Major Alexander saying that Jay Witt is a big key to the kind of the running game, just with how good of a blocker that he is, was a stock blocking monster, just out of the slot.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I can buy into that.
He is, man. Well, he is, dude.
He's a phenomenal blocker.
Well,
and he's been more active in the passing game over the past few games as well.
Do you remember the Keelan Robinson little pitch toss to the left side of the offense versus in the game that sent Texas to the Big 12 championship versus Tech, where Keelan Robinson started to get hot?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Jay Witt's block on that play?
Yeah, I do.
Just like, I mean,
let's not forget the Jay Witt punching the fumble out on the interception play. Which game was that?
Hold on. What's the play again? Where he went back down there
and he knocked
the ball out,
and Whittington chased down the defender who caught the pick and forced a fumble.
Yeah, I forgot what game. I mean, I certainly remember the play.
Okay.
I certainly remember the play. It's just, man, it's
a wild play.
Yeah, it's crazy. Nash says he called that TD in the stands. I mean, dude, and Major Alexander, thank you so much for the super chats, brother. You're the richest guy that I know, and we certainly appreciate it. You could see, man, how it was getting set up just perfect. It's like when you get A.D. Mitchell and you get Jay Witt just making blocks that are that good. And I remember saying, I tweeted it out at that time. I just said, dude, that's one of these culture plays. Sark talks about these culture plays, these plays that, and why I think that when I look at Xavier Filsaime, I look at Andrew Makuba, I think that they'd fit the culture really well, because one of the other things is these safeties and these nickel corners flying up and making open field tackles on these wide receiver screens. Sark has said things like that, like reporters ask questions. Sark, what do you mean about building your culture? Sark, is it, how do you do that? What does it mean? Is it just writing each other little notes on Fridays? And he's like, well, it's not just this. Sark loves those little notes, those little notes to one another, man. He does. I mean, and it's fine. It's better than Herman kissing the guys, right?
Everything's better than Herman kissing. Here's Major Alexander. No, I'm saying him being added to the first read for Quinn Ewers has changed the scouting reports.
Oh yeah. I don't think that. I have to go back and. I don't chart first read percentage, so I don't know if that's. I mean, if you're saying that you've been seeing that, like maybe I'll keep an eye out for it. I haven't noticed a huge difference about his reads and his progressions, but if that's like, I think it's a fine theory. What about soup? Anybody have a favorite soup? Like best soup? I asked it. I figured this would be a very popular one. People would say like, oh, I like chicken noodle. I like minestrone, but no one cares about the whole soup thing.
Yeah.
No soup for us, Blake. Well, what is your favorite soup?
I honestly don't even know. I don't even eat soup. Like, I can't even remember.
It has an obvious answer.
Rhett Moore says baked potato soup, chicken tortilla soup from Nash.
Yeah, that's always good. Mine's. I thought mine would be the chalk. Mine is just the hot and sour soup from the Chinese restaurants.
I'm with Patrick here. We don't eat soup in Texas.
It's delicious. Daniel Novell says menudo. Let's see. Blake Winfrey says his favorite soup is probably cereal. You got
great answer, Blake.
JD says he enjoys the soup of his enemy's blood. I like JD. Okay. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, speaking of Jay Witt, let's talk wide receivers. Because that is finally going to be a position where Texas is probably going to need to look in the portal.
I got a lot to say about this, so we're going to talk about that next.
I'm assuming we get number 2 next, and I'm assuming obviously that would be Washington, unless they want to get kooky and go to the bottom and like give us 6. But I'm assuming we get number 2. Oh, they're going to say it and then cut away to Harbaugh. They cut away to Jim Harbaugh watching, and now we see the clap reaction in Indianapolis. So we are really slow burning this one. Michigan's won. Jim Harbaugh is clapping and sending someone to all three of the prospective
Harbaugh had the
opponents.
signals before the announcement was ever made. Like,
Yes, he
he
did.
knew.
Yeah, well
He
played.
hired someone to be in the room, to buy a ticket to be in the ESPN production room.
The number 2 team we would assume is next. It is, and it's Washington. All right, there's no shock. 2 undefeateds, 2 that we knew if they're undefeated and they win, they get in. They're in. Michigan's in the 1-4 game. Washington is in the 2-3 game. DeBoer and his crew, well deserving, like Jason said, beat Oregon twice. Now this may be Texas next. This may be the moment, Texas fans, you've been waiting on, because number 3 would be next. Number 3 is next. If it's Texas, then all this hard work, this is why you lift those weights. This is why you do all that
and
shit.
Washington's not having a party, so we don't have to
cutting away
cut
the
away
Washington.
shot.
Exactly. Could it be Texas? Could it be Texas at number 3? It's got to be the next thing they announce. This could be Texas. Or is it going to be Bama? Or is it going to be Florida State because they're undefeated and they're really weird and they're going to put them at 3? We'll see. Michigan won.
Put Georgia
Washington
5.
Texas is in. Texas is in. This just
Texas got
in.
3.
Texas is in. They are the 3 seed. Texas and Washington will have a rematch. It's probably, well, I don't know if it's going to be Rose Bowl or not. We'll have to, it may be Atlanta.
That's going to be a fun game. That should
They're
be
going to
a fun
They're
game.
in. They're about to show the reaction. They just went crazy. Phones are being utilized in Austin, Texas to video and take pictures. Things are being thrown. Anwar Richardson is probably being pushed and pulled. Steve Sarkisian is looking very excited. Texas is in. Congratulations, Longhorn fans. You put on the show you needed to put on. The Undertaker gave viewers a belt, and the committee couldn't say no to you.
Oh yes, Chad. Well, hey, Chad was having some fun. Chad was having some fun.
man.
I think Catch was just Catch was just shell shocked, man.
I think Catch was mad because his stream was like 3 seconds behind.
Oh, I see. Okay, so a couple of things in chat that I just wanted to address. Of course, your football with friends. We're having fun. So happy to have all you guys with us. Almost 200 people here in the chat. If you could remember, please like the show, subscribe to the channel. We certainly appreciate it. My apologies for my my dog related issues this week, but if you haven't heard, we got a new puppy dog. I'm having to train it with the invisible fence, and so with the invisible fence guys here helping with the training, I got to get out there by 5 o'clock, maybe today and maybe again tomorrow. So sorry, but we'll get back on the red. You're basically gonna miss me doing some losing Taco Tuesday prize picks. Probably that's basically it. So no big deal.
We're saving your wallet.
Yeah. Those Taco Tuesdays are the worst too, because man, unless it's the hockey ones, those are usually good, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about wide receiver, but just a couple of things I wanted to address in chat. So there was a couple things. Jay Ward talked about his favorite soup is squirrel stew with fresh carrots and other vegetables, which is so good. Do you know what my grandpa used to have you ever had turtle soup, Blake?
No, never had.
He lived up on a bluff, man, looking down on
in Wimberley, right?
Looking down the Blanco, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it like he would just go down there and he would get there's mad turtles in that river, dude. And he would go get those things, cook them up, man. Golly, you cook it down so much to where it's just like the meat's just kind of in. It's not like a chunk of turtle or anything in it, right? It gets real kind of cooked down to where it's just like you kind of eat it. It just tastes like there's some kind of meat or something in there. Oh man. Really, really, really good. But the other thing was, someone was asking. I can't find it now, man. Gosh, all you guys in chat, dude. Thanks to all you guys. Please remember to like the show if you can. Look, man. It was somebody saying that. Did you see Aaron Rodgers doing the horns down earlier today, saying he thought that FSU should be in over Texas? And do you guys want to just has anybody taken a little stroll down memory lane about Aaron Rodgers and his prognostications about Texas and Texas not belonging in various, has this been talked about today?
It's been mentioned a little bit, but yeah, going back to that 04 Texas over Cal deal.
The 2004 Holiday Bowl. I remember it like it was yesterday. This dude, complaining that team, that his Cal team, should have been in the Rose Bowl for that year versus Michigan. I was at that game. There's a screenshot of me out. There's a meme of me out there somewhere that I don't know if I can find it, but of me holding my hands like this and just being completely dead before the kick. Where after the game, when we got out of the Rose Bowl and got to where we could start walking and stuff, my phone just blew up with like literally 130 texts. This was back
We gotta find that picture. I've seen it before, but
like a razor phone kind of thing. And so like I was at that game. I was at both those Rose Bowl games. Aaron Rodgers was like, look, and as Aaron Rodgers has gotten older and stuff, it's kind of worn off of me a little bit. My hate for the guy. I actually kind of like him. I kind of like the guy these days, right? I kind of agree with a lot of the stuff that a lot of the stuff that he says and sort of the way he acts and interacts with the cockamamie media and all the rest. But because he treats the media like the idiots that they are. Truly he does, and he's just like, screw it. I'm just gonna go on my friend McAfee's show, and he'll let me say what I want. So they can't twist my words. But I hated him for the longest time because as a guy that at the time was just a straight fan, of the program, like just graduated or just getting ready to graduate. I'm like, this dude goes into the 2004 Holiday Bowl, says Texas shouldn't be in there, right? All the rest. And in this game, Texas Tech and the GOAT, Mike Leach, who I believe in earlier in that season, did Texas demolish Tech in that year or did they not? It doesn't matter. A team from Texas Conference, they lost 40 years. Let me look at the 2004 schedule. Texas.
2003 was the Chance Mock touchdown against Tech, right? So
yeah, I'm wondering if the 2004 was. Let me just look and see. So Texas beat them in 2004, 51-21, at their house, and then the team that Aaron Rodgers publicly politicked that should be in over Texas to play Michigan, who Texas won in the Rose Bowl. This was a team that in his California Golden Bears that lost 45-31 versus Tech in the game that he wanted this in Texas to. I was so happy to see him slide in the NFL draft after all this nonsense. Yeah, man. So anyway, it tilts me that Aaron Rodgers has been bad. Hey, look, man. Look, if there's anything, hold on, I'll get to Cody's thing here in a second. If there's anything that we could take from this, it's kind of like what we could take from it. What Sark was asked if it's ironic that Texas again is getting payback for a close loss last year, the same way it was for Alabama. If he's excited about that for Washington, right? And I kind of thought that's kind of interesting, right? It's kind of like the revenge tour here. You get the Alabama win to avenge the loss last year. Now you're getting a chance to avenge the Washington loss. Well, this to me feels kind of like that, in that we're coming full circle here, right? With Aaron Rodgers saying that Texas should not be, at that point it was a BCS at large bid, right? But the Texas shouldn't be in the CFP. He's given the horns down, and he's the one time that he's done this before, he's been totally wrong, right? So we can just hope that it's kind of stays the same, right? Cody's saying Pete Nakos, Tennessee and Texas are the two to watch for Juice Wells. Not that we haven't already known that for 3 days now. Look, I like Juice Wells. I think he's fine. I just can't quit thinking about Deion Burks. It's like I think Juice Wells is fine, and I think he would fit more into a really traditional slot role, and he could be a more explosive kind of Jay Witt. He wouldn't be Jay. You can't replace Jay Witt, just the guy that he is, right?
Right.
But
yeah.
Burks can play. Man, Burks can play stretch flanker. He can play outside. It's cool. You know what's cool about the fact that, and we'll get to wide receiver here, but what's cool about Jonte is that Jonte Cook this year, he played both X and Z. He played them both. He came in for Adonai Mitchell. He came in for Xavier Worthy. Now, that shows you two things. One, it shows you that he has the versatility to play either of those spots. He can play X. He can play Z. Right? He's probably best suited for Z just because you'd like a little bit more height. A little more box him out, go up and get it ability from your X wide receiver. But he's fine. It's not like it isn't like he's short. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it also goes to show the fact that he's by far the best wide receiver that Texas has coming back when we consider the fact that Worthy, Mitchell, Whittington, Nair is going to be gone, right?
I would assume so. Yeah.
So that brings back Casey Kane, Ryan Niblett. So let's just go over it.
Casey Kane would be the only upperclassman left.
Let me just look and see. So Casey Kane this year played he played the 1, 2, 3, 4. So A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Whittington, Jonte Cook, and DeAndre Moore all played more snaps than Casey Kane this season, who played at the X. He played 44 snaps on the season. The most snaps he played in a particular game were against Texas Tech. He played 19 snaps whenever they got in that long drive at the end with Arch Manning to kind of milk the clock and everything like that, right? So that's when Casey Kane got to play. Casey Kane has been a player who at times we thought was isn't it crazy to think, man, that the year before this one, 2022, like the year that the year they played Washington in the Alamo Bowl, Casey Kane made some plays in that game. He's looking like a guy that could maybe play a little bit, and certainly in 2022 behind Xavier Worthy, who was banged up with a broken hand and all that stuff. Kind of the number 2 option on the team, even ahead of Whittington as far as pure snap percentage. Oh my gosh, getting a phone call here from J.P. Morgan Chase. Did I miss a credit card payment? I don't think I missed it. I have to call them. I have to call them back here in a minute, man. I can't be getting a ding to my credit, Blake. How am I going to afford to be rich like Major Alexander if I don't have any credit to get any loans? All right. Anyway, but Kane, I'm just saying, I don't think he'd be a guy that you'd want to lose to the portal, right? But he's a redshirt sophomore. You never know. You got Ryan Niblett, who has issues with his hands. He's going to be fine. He's got great change of direction, great movement abilities. But it took all of 3 days in fall camp for them to realize, man, we can't have this guy on punt return. He just drops too many punt returns. He's got some issues. He's got some issues with his hands. I think he'll be fine. I saw him at the Army All-American game. I thought his hands looked fine there. I didn't notice anything during 2 days of those practices. Watching him really, really closely. DeAndre Moore, like we mentioned, played more snaps than Casey Kane, but not that many more, 47 on the season. And like Casey Kane, most of those came versus Texas Tech. 21 of his 47 snaps on the season. He did get in 6 snaps versus BYU, so a blowout kind of game. 5 versus Kansas, 5 versus Baylor, and 10 versus Rice. Those are the only games that he played in this season. DeAndre Moore, though, is good. He's good. Coming in, of course, Ryan Wingo. I mean, we were here for that commitment here on the show. Awesome, awesome player. I think probably what would be Blake, do you know off the top of your head whether he's going to be a spring enrollee, or is that something that hadn't been reported yet?
Oh, good question. I kind of just assume that until
you kind of just assume it nowadays with some of these real big name dudes.
Very few of these guys usually are summer enrollees, but
look, he's gonna start next year, right?
Yeah. Where do you see him sliding in? You're a better evaluator of what kind of wide receiver Wingo is.
Oh, I mean, I put him. It's like for this scenario, I put Jonte at Z. I put him Jonte at Z. I would put DeAndre Moore at slot. I would put Wingo at X.
Mm-hmm.
But that's depending on a true freshman.
But if they
are a sick true freshman, right? I mean,
right.
Like the Rivals 200 just got updated today. I believe he was one of the top 32. He was a 5-star in the new Rivals. So, but that's kind of depending on him. So now we're sort of beginning to evaluate where the roster sits, right? So you have those guys. So I'm just saying right now, before any pieces are added, right? Right now, with what Texas has in the cupboard, projecting that Whittington, Nair, Worthy, Mitchell, all gone, none, nothing, no more out of them. They're done. They're making money in the NFL, or in Nair's case, going to maybe some other school. Heck, he could come back. I don't know. I don't know. I've kind of penciled him in as a transfer for a while. So let's just project that. Coming in, Parker Livingstone is coming off a bad foot injury. You have Freddie DeBose, who, wide-ranging, divergent opinions on this guy, right? Some people think he's just, the greatest thing since sliced bread. I've talked about my friend that his guy has him as his wide receiver coach had him as the number one prospect that he'd seen. And you have other people like Ketch or Cole Patterson, or people who've seen him live like that, who say, he's a good player. To put him in the conversation with a Micah Hudson, though, is just absurd. There's one wide receiver coach out there that said to even put him in the conversation with a healthy Parker Livingstone is kind of absurd. Like I love Parker Livingstone. I think you guys know it very well. Like I think he's going to be great. The only worry that I have is some health concerns coming in with him, and the fact that he's going to be a true freshman. The same worries that I would have about Ryan Wingo. So there's that. And then Aaron Hampton, who we have him listed here on this sheet for our purposes here as a wide receiver.
That's just where we slotted him in. That's why I put athlete next to his name.
I think that he's it's kind of interesting. We don't think about Aaron Hampton in a way like he's some super critical or key important piece to the way that this team gets built, but the level of urgency for two positions really at wide receiver, and I would think at corner or nickel. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong. If you think that he would maybe, I don't know, slot in somewhere else, I wouldn't slot him in at wide receiver. I would think if he comes in as an athlete, from what you've seen of him, and from what I remember of his film, I thought I remember being it was an outside corner or a nickel. So I don't know what to make of that. So with that being a mystery, with Parker Livingstone being somewhat up in the air and being a freshman, but a guy who's going to be good down the stretch, with Ryan Wingo feeling to me like a freshman that's surefire, right? And to be clear, I consider Parker Livingstone surefire without the injury. I consider him surefire. He's great. He's really good, and he doesn't get the credit for it because he doesn't look like your prototypical great dominant wide receiver that comes in. He's going to be really good for Texas if he can stay healthy. That's just it's a lock. Dubose feeling like a little bit of a nebulous, kind of a black box prospect. I don't know what I've heard. Like I said, so with all those things being true, we slot in our starters as Jonte Cook, DeAndre Moore, and Ryan Wingo. We slot in our second team, quite obviously, right, as Casey Kane at the X, Ryan Niblett at the slot, and then at the Z, probably Dubose, because Parker Livingstone feels like a pure X to me. Maybe
real quick, Nash also put in the chat, I think if Nair was gone, he would have portaled by now. And I don't know, but maybe there's a chance Nair comes back. But just the way the season played out, where he played 6 snaps in the first game and never came back in, it felt like the writing was on the wall as the season went on that he was probably going to leave. But I don't know.
Well, and here's the other thing. I mean, like I talked about earlier, Nash, wouldn't you want to get a natty?
Maybe he wants to stick through the
but especially if you're Nair. I think that the guys who left early, I think with Xavier, it feels like with Xavier and Bryce, that was just going to happen, and with Catalan, it just like that was going to happen. They just were like, man, I'm done with it. I don't think Nair maybe Nair could feel. I've kind of felt like Nair's a little bit maybe like that. We're kind of done with it type of deal. I mean, they really really just don't want to play. He didn't play since the first game. I mean, is that right? I think
Yeah.
it's right.
Yeah, 6 snaps in the first game, didn't play again. Pretty
Six
sure.
snaps in the first game, did not play again. Blake knows it off the top of his head. I put this group as I put this group at like the level of urgency to go get somebody. There's no greater. I mean, it's got to be a 9 or like maybe it's a 10. They got to get one of these guys, man.
Again, if Nair leaves, the only upperclassman is Casey Kane at that point.
They got to go get Dion. They got to go get Dion Burks, and they probably got to get Juice Wells if there's that interest there. The only thing is, gosh, I think you could play. I mean, could Juice? I mean, I've seen Juice Wells play outside. He's played. It's not like he's just played completely in the slot. We know Dion Burks can play outside.
Mm-hmm.
He plays outside. Just go watch him. But yeah, I mean, it's like the problem that I run into when I think about this stuff is that whenever and I don't think this is anything that Ketch hadn't talked about on it, because this is all stuff that I see from our Slack and I was talking back and forth and saying this guy says this all said this. I don't think this is anything off limits to say that Texas had basically said that it's going to take if a wide receiver comes, we're not in the business of this year writing $1 million checks to wide receivers in the transfer portal. Unless there comes an AD Mitchell, unless there
Jordan Addison, somebody like that.
Yep. They think that there's guys that they can get, guys that they can, and look, man, let me be perfectly clear. I'm not saying that they're not gonna pay these guys NIL money. They're gonna pay plenty of NIL money, and Texas has shown that they actually come through with their NIL money, unlike USC, unlike A&M. Just the brutal takedowns of those two schools in particular, but I'm sure there have been others about the promises of NIL money and then the going back on it, or retroactively attaching stipulations to the collection of the funds owed. Texas does none of that stuff, right? They have a very straightforward process. It's direct deposit, very, very simple. My gut says that's the initial sort of feeling of the NIL guys and the Texas One Fund dudes and the dudes behind the scenes that talk a lot to the staff and all the rest of it. But when they kind of get down to it and they start thinking about it, and the euphoria begins to wear off from the Big 12 championship game and the fact they're going to the CFP, and they get down to the nuts and bolts of recruiting, and the early signing day comes around and the transfer portal begins to really fire off, they're gonna put 2 and 2 together here and say, like, well, we might kind of like, there's kind of not, there are other ones that we'll get to that seem like there's certainly needs and areas of focus, right? But there's a reason why the names that we're hearing now, Juice Wells, Dion Burks, these types of players, there's a reason why these guys have come into focus for Texas, right? These things aren't coincidences. So,
and those guys want, like, these wide receivers in the portal are dying to be exactly what AD Mitchell was this year and watch their draft stock soar. So it's going to be a good deal for these guys as well as UT.
Rhett Moore is saying that Gilbo's already gotten reps in Jade's spot, so he should be the star position next year. Well, look, nickel is one of the most interesting ones that there is, and we're not going to be able to get to it today.
No. We almost got to tight end.
We can get to tight end. So this one just is going to depend, and so just so everybody here, like, we're all on the same page. Do we want to project JT Sanders out?
Where do you sit on that? What do you think? I'm kind of 50-50. I really don't know.
I'm flabbergasted that the idea is even being entertained.
Yeah.
But there are very serious people who are saying that it's very seriously being entertained. Good sources. Good ones. So And it does, and it, you know what, Blake? It doesn't even have to do with his NFL feedback.
No, that's not even. Yeah.
It has to do with the fact that he's having fun and he's not sure he's ready. And just like what a. I mean, that's an interesting thing to.
Well, you lose sight sometimes, Alex. These guys are just people. Like they're living their lives. They're not just numbers and players' stats getting drafted like measurements. Like they're people, and maybe he wants to just stay another year in college. It's not a crazy concept.
Well, I think it's crazy. I'm flabbergasted by the idea, but like I said, I mean, the fact that I'm flabbergasted, I'm flabbergasted constantly, Blake. I go through my day flabbergasted by all kinds. Like, oh my God, look how much gas costs. Oh my gosh, can you believe what an idiot driver this is? I'm literally, I'm flabbergasted all of the time. But this to me, I mean, if JT Sanders comes back, I'll eat my shoe, man. Like, I'm not really saying I'll do it because the chat will hold me to it.
You already said it. It's done. Eating a shoe if Sanders comes back.
Yeah, man. Okay. It's just.
What about? Let's leave Sanders out of it for now and just talk about these other guys though. Helm, Davis, Shannon, and Randall from the last class. Washington lined up in this class. What are your thoughts on the room as a whole?
Well, C. Shearman's asking if gumbo's considered soup. I think that I'd say yeah, it's a soup, right? It's a soupy dish. You use a spoon to eat it up. That might be the best soup, right? I'll tell you who the best realtor in DFW is. It's Val Garcia. Can you believe Val Garcia? Val Garcia is going to sell your house for free. Look at Val. Look at Val. He's going to sell your house for free, and he's smiling like a man that just knows that he's going to save you $60K. He's going to save you $50K, $40K. Even if you don't work in the education or in the ministries where he'll sell your house for free and save you that 3%, that 3% agency fee. If you tell him you heard about him on Football with Friends, he's going to sell your house for 1.5%, half price anywhere in the DFW area. He's a top 25 realtor in all of DFW and wherever you are, from all the way from Fort Worth to Frisco down to Burleson, and I always say Gun Barrel City. Blake says that I shouldn't advertise it, but I'll bet you Val will head out to Gun Barrel City. I'm telling you, the whole DFW area wide, he has it all on lock. He knows what he's doing. He's going to get you all the best. He's going to get you all the best information that you need for your home buying and your home selling process. He is one of us. He's always here in the chat. He's always here hanging out. He's always texting me saying, Alex, what about this? What about this? Some of his ideas are great. Sometimes I have to say, Val, that's too cockamamie, brother. We can't be talking about this. Regardless, he's passionate just like you are. He loves the horns. He loves the outdoors. He loves Football with Friends, man. And he just says, if they're there in the chat, if they're there watching the show, they are my people, and I'm going to sell their house for half price. So if you know anybody in the DFW area, please have them call Val Garcia. Check out valenrealty.com. You can call him at 469-647-8729. You can get him at valgarcia@valenrealty.com. He's our guy, dude. There's even a QR code there to scan. Again, Val Garcia, valenrealty.com. Okay.
Super chat from Nash.
Nash is sending super chat. No, thank you for the super chat, Nash. We know that Nash is rich from all those sweet YouTube dollars he has coming in from the cut ups. By the way, Nash, man, let me just tell you, be the first to thank you for getting those cut ups always up, man. It really,
and he's probably not raking in the monetization dollars on those things if he's using game footage. So props for doing most of that stuff, man.
Yeah, but I mean, man, he needs to start putting in some like underdog affiliate links and Prize Picks affiliate links or stuff like that in there. Make a little cash. I mean, a bunch of people watch those vids, man. But regardless, dude, thanks so much for it. And thanks for the super chat. So he says Sanders watching Laporta, McBride, Kincaid, and licking his chops. NFL is using tight ends. Whoa, yeah. Hey, man, Trey McBride. One of my all-time Senior Bowl, just one of my most sweetest golden sons from the Senior Bowl. Now all we need is for Adam Troutman to turn it on. Now that he's back with Sean Payton for the Broncos, dude, that guy was Captain America back in college, dude. But it's hard to really hang. I mean, I think the two best Senior Bowl tight ends do you know who was who was there last year? Also, was Luke Musgrave. What a tight end class it was last year, man. I think Evan Ingram was probably the one that I was most impressed with that I ever saw there at the Senior Bowl. But I think second would have been McBride. Third would have been Troutman. And JT Sanders is like, people are still mocking him in the first round. You tell me he's not coming back? Are you like, so
The logical choice is obviously to go, but it's like, this isn't something we're making up. It's like,
so who are the others? So they have Will Randall, who was hurt this year. Spencer Shannon, who ran ahead of him anyway. I don't think did either of them even get in this year. I don't think they got in. I think I just saw them at camp.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
no, neither of them got in this year. The only tight ends that played this year were JT Sanders, Gunnar Helm. We forget, man. We need to move Malik Agbo up to that tight end, probably.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what do we, or is he just a jumbo? I don't know.
You can put it either way. I mean,
they've quit playing him because he's. I can't believe that he's an ex-offensive tackle, and he's probably one of these. He's a pretty bad blocker. Juan Davis, they don't like to play him at all. He only played 40 snaps this year. They're losing Patrick Bayouth, who walked, but he's a walk-on, number 48. You've probably seen him out there before.
mm-hmm.
So it's the Gunnar Helm show, but they do play two tight end a lot. They got Jordan Washington, the kid coming in. Sark's in Las Vegas. They're saying he might be. Reportedly, he could be. There were reports that he's in Las Vegas.
Possible.
I think Bishop Gorman has a tight end you might want to look into. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I think
We had a couple chats I wanted to hit before we
wait.
wrap
No.
up.
We have to put a number on it. 1 to 10.
Oh, number. Yeah. So tight. I mean, if there was a really good one, you're obviously taking him, right? But as far as a number, 1 to 10.
I'd say kind of I'd say if one look, they need to keep an eye on it, right? You need to keep an eye on it. It's a little bit more than neutral. You got to keep an eye on it.
It's not an absolute need, but it's
just it's a 6.5.
Something you can use. Yeah.
6.5. I think it's fine. All right. What do we need to take care of, Blake?
Lost Architect wanted to make sure his soup got put up. So we got Anchor Oyster Bar. How do you say
Chip Ciapino?
Ciapino?
Is that one of those ones that it's inside of that piece of sourdough bread? I've had one of those, but I think that was a chowder that I ate on the Fisherman's Wharf or something in San Francisco when I was a kid with my mom and dad. Speaking of moms, dads, here he goes, Matthew Smith. I'm back. Haven't been able to make a live stream in so long. I'm so happy Texas made the playoffs. I think that we all are, brother. We're so happy about that. So happy to be here. Speaking of moms and dads, I am a new puppy dad, in addition to the dad that I am to 2 actual live children. And I have to do some invisible fence training with him. Hopefully we get it done today, but it might happen again tomorrow. So have to cut the show a little bit short today, but we got a lot of info in today, and we still have this exercise to continue through tomorrow. So the content keeps flowing here on Football with Friends. It is indeed always fun as hell. Please remember to like oh gosh, we need 2 more likes so Catch doesn't. We're gonna get swindled, guys. I promise you. We got to keep the lights on. We got to put food on the table. We got to pay the electric fence guy, even though he's taking a little bit longer to get this puppy trained up than he said he would. I got to go take care of it now. Hey, for Blake, I'm out.
Catch cut our background, man. Like the video.
We're done.